Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and today I want to share with you the books and resources we are using for a small unit study on the Lewis and Clark expedition and that time period in American history, as well as part of the Western movement. So this is going to be a really small unit in the sense that we do not want to spend a lot of time on this unit, so maybe not more than a week or a week and a half. And so for that purpose, though I am showing you all the things that I think we might use, we may not get through all of the resources, and we may only use part of the resources that I'm going to show you. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you actually is the assigned reading for my son. This is Of Courage Undaunted, Across the Continent with Lewis and Clark, and this is going to be the reading that he does on his own. Now, if we had more time, this would be something that I would potentially read aloud to all of my students. Currently, I am homeschooling my 8-year-old daughter and my 13-year-old son, and the last time we did this unit, they were both younger, and I was homeschooling another child, and so the whole dynamic was a little bit different. Since I am homeschooling my 13-year-old, the work that he's going to produce for this unit is going to look a little bit different than the work that he's produced in the past, where there were more illustrations in his main lesson book, and the writing was grade level, but it was not as maybe as detailed or as long. So this time around, I'm going to show you this really quickly to begin with. Because this unit is part of a larger unit on colonial America, we've actually already started the main lesson book. So we have basically 3 time periods that we're going to focus on, and we split them up into 3 different unit studies. We have like the early Americans, the colonists, the pilgrims, and that we put as colonial America. We also have the Revolutionary War time period, and then we have the Western movement and Lewis and Clark expedition. So this main lesson book is a little different than the ones that he's previously used in that it's smaller, and also the pages are a little different. You have a few sheets, actually that's the middle of the book. Let me show you somewhere else where you can see better that you get 2 sheets where it's lined, and then you get your the page that you draw on. So there's onion skin that separates the pages, and then you have your pages for drawing on. So you have fewer pages for drawing, they are smaller, and more pages for writing. So he's already started to fill in his main lesson book with his narrations and illustrations, and he's using our color pencils. These are the Lyra color pencils, really beautiful range of colors. We always go through our earth tones far quicker than we go through the pinks and the purples and the other colors. We're also using a fountain pen. This one is new for us. We do have other fountain pens that we've used in our homeschool for many years. These ones we picked up recently. They have a wooden barrel, which is really nice, and then the place for the ink cartridge. And then you have what's different about this set, or these fountain pens, is that they are indented on 3 sides here so that you know how to put your fingers. It's a nice way to introduce a child to using a fountain pen because it's a little bit challenging at times. So for our Waldorf approach, we tend to introduce fountain pens at around maybe age 11, and then they can use those for their main lesson books. All right, so let's go through the books that we have and a couple of games. What was the Lewis and Clark expedition? I really, really like this series of books. I find them to be a great way to understand a period in history or a particular figure in history. I think they are well written. They're very simple. The illustrations are really simple, but they add a nice visual to the story. They're very fast to read, and I've just really been pleased overall with the quality. So this is something that I would typically read aloud to both of my children, but because we have so many other picture books and other resources here, this is something that I am assigning to my 13-year-old son. Making a New Nation, the Louisiana Purchase from Independence to Lewis and Clark. This book is going to perfectly bridge our American Revolution time period unit study through into this one. This is not a super engaging type of book, but it's something that I will probably read aloud to the children. And so this might be the one resource that I want to carry through the entire unit and have me read it to the kids, because I think this is going to be the nonfiction content. Actually, I think pretty much all of them are nonfiction. I don't have any historical fiction here, but this is going to be the one bit of content that I want to really impart on my children and engage with them with it, because it seems it's going to be a little bit drier. I don't want to just hand this off to them and have them not really absorb it. And my 8-year-old daughter isn't going to be reading any of these. She will be read aloud to for everything. A picture book of Davy Crockett. I also really like the series by David Adler. At this point, they are a little bit dated if you look at the illustrations, but still they are fantastic biographies. Really enjoy them. Whenever I see them at a used bookstore sale or a library bookstore, I pick them up because they are fabulous additions to all of our unit studies. You Wouldn't Want to Explore with Lewis and Clark. This is another series that I'm really pleased with. It's by Scholastic. You can find them for all different topic areas from history to science. And I've really, really enjoyed them as well. Again, the content is really well done. The illustrations are kind of whimsical and kind of silly. It might turn you off from this kind of book, but it's actually a really great balance between the serious content and the more fun kind of whimsical way that they do the illustrations and the different captions. And I find that it really engages my children. It really engages me, actually. And so I find them to be really great additions to our unit studies as well. So whenever I can find them, I add them in. Social Studies Activity Book. This is not something I would typically use. This is for the Lewis and Clark expedition. The reason why I have this is because my 13-year-old is less interested in the projects that I am creating for these unit studies. And so handing him off something like this tends to keep him engaged, and it feels like it's more like grade level, and it's just something we're going to add to this unit. Now, I definitely don't intend to use this entire book at all. I will probably only choose one worksheet, at the most maybe two, and just instead of pulling them out of the workbook, I might just use my copier to copy them. I'm not sure. And then it comes with information that you can read, which is great. So it has the content, it has a few questions or activities, and this will make a great addition for this unit. Alamo. This is a heavier book in the sense that it would take a while for us to read it aloud. I may give this to my son to read if he's super interested in it, or I might not. This is one book that I really am not sure how it's going to fit in, but I still think that it fits with this unit perfectly. And also, we visited the Alamo before, and so it's nice to have kind of a real life reference for something that you're studying. And I think that the history behind the formation of Texas is really fascinating. We lived there for a year, and we toured around at a lot of historical sites, and we really kind of absorbed that unique history. And so being able to add it into this unit would be really fabulous, but I'm aware that we just have too much stuff, so it's possible that this one won't be part of our unit. Bewildered for 3 days as to why Daniel Boone never wore his coonskin cap by Andrew Glass. So this is a picture book that I'm fairly certain I picked up at a library bookstore sale for like $0.25, and it's just been with this unit. In our homeschool, we have our different history units just kind of all together, so that when I am out and about picking up books, I can just stick them in with that unit. So we did not use this one last time to the best of my knowledge, and it's just a fun, quick picture book that I'm going to hopefully be able to add in. I do like to have a variety of resources when we're doing a unit study, so that we have everything from picture books to historical fiction, cookbooks, activity books. I just like to kind of make it really rich that way. Daniel Boone's Own Story. I thought this would be a great story for my son to read. He's always been interested or fascinated by stories of survival and those kinds of things. He's recently read for probably like the 10th time My Side of the Mountain. And so I thought something like this that was real life, a biography, would be of interest to him. But since he also has Of Courage Undaunted to read, and possibly a couple other resources, this is one that I am fully prepared to just put aside if we don't have enough time. A picture book of Lewis and Clark by David Adler. This one seems a lot more current than the other picture books I have by David Adler, so I'm guessing this is probably a more recent publication. But again, anytime I can find books by David Adler, the biographies that he has are just fantastic, so I love adding them in. They're usually a quick read. You usually get a really good sense of the person that you are reading about, and it's super easy for especially adults who might need to have a little bit of a refresher on these different historical figures. I find these books to be fantastic for that reason. And of course, these illustrations, I really, really love them, as opposed to the other illustrations that seem, in my opinion, they're still nice. I'm just not as crazy about them as these ones. You can just see that they're just magnificent. Discovering the West, the Expedition of Lewis and Clark. Because we have a number of resources on Lewis and Clark, I can really see us foregoing this one in lieu of one of the other ones if we run out of time. This is something that you could easily find at your local library, and we just like to have them personally so that when we do spontaneously sometimes put together a unit, we have everything we need. And so this is not one that I would recommend just always having, but if you happen to be at a library bookstore or a thrift shop and you find some of these books at a really deep discount, then I say get them and add them to your units because they're great resources. And this is a quick read, so it's possible that I will just add that into the read alouds that I'm doing. How We Crossed the West, The Adventures of Lewis and Clark. This one is one that we purchased the last time we decided to do this unit. I don't remember that we actually got to it, but it looks like it could be a fairly quick read with great illustrations. So this is something that I would try to read aloud to both of my children. We have a couple of activities and toys. So the last time we did this unit, my kids were all a little bit younger, and so I picked up Lewis and Clark and Indians. This is like a little plastic play set. You can also cut apart the cabin and assemble it. And it comes with all these tiny little figures. The quality is so awful. So for that purpose, I don't recommend getting something that's not going to last very well, just for the waste of it. But I hadn't seen anything else like this. And when we're putting together our unit, I was really delighted to find something that would work perfectly for our unit. However, my children are older and my daughter's not really into playing with these kinds of toys, so I'm not sure if they're going to be incorporated into this unit or not. Something else that we played last time was this card game, Lewis and Clark Exploration Card Game. It comes with a map, which is really nice, although with my children, I would, and probably with most children, I would have preferred to maybe laminate this. You wouldn't be able to store it as easily, but I feel like this is just not going to last very well if you've got children or toddlers in your home. And also, and it comes with stickers, and then of course it comes with the cards, which are really, really beautiful. Comes with the different people who were on the expedition, and then it comes with these cards that you can track on the map of the different plants and the different native tribes that the Lewis and Clark expedition encountered. And you can see the dates here because it was all related to the journal that was kept during the expedition. So it's really well done in that respect, very thorough, very educational. The only problem that I'm having is that I don't think that we're playing the game right, because we don't seem to be utilizing the information on the cards in an educational way as much as I hoped. But we're still gonna pull it out for this unit and play it because we love to add games to our unit studies. They make great opening activities, and it's a great way just to invite the kids into that learning space and transition from maybe an activity they were enjoying more into the learning for the day. The project that I have planned for this unit is to bind our own leather journal, similar to the journal that may have been taken along during the Lewis and Clark expedition. This is from a kit, so it's super easy to use and assemble because you already have the holes on one side. I apologize that I don't remember the kit. We have since taken the packaging off just so that we could store it more easily, but it came with the leather twine to do the binding, and then for the pages we've done our own paper. Let me grab one here. In the past, we've made our own paper with a paper making kit, and I think that adding the paper, this one we added stamps to it, but we have some that are just plain sheets. I think adding those in to the journal will be just a really great way to make it, in my opinion, more authentic, although I'm sure that they had paper that was thinner or maybe parchment, I'm not sure, but that's going to be the project for this unit. We also have these leather stamping tools so that my son can decorate the front cover. And then we have other leather supplies in case my daughter wants to do something, but this is something that I just had planned for my son. Okay, so I think that rounds it out. If you want to see some of the projects that we're doing with our other history unit studies, you can tap on the screen right now. Don't forget to check out the blog post that accompanies this video, where I have more pictures and descriptions of the materials that we're using along with our lesson plan for this unit. And if you want to see how our homeschool is progressing on a daily basis, you can find me on Instagram at Pepper and Pine.